My mother-in-law called me defective for not having kids, then convinced my childhood sweetheart to leave me. Hey everyone. Before we kick off today's video, I've got a favor to ask. We've noticed our channel isn't getting as much love lately, and subscribing is one of the easiest ways you can help us out. It's quick, free, and it means we can keep bringing you awesome content. Your support really means a lot, so let's work together to keep this channel growing. Thanks a bunch. Now, let's dive into the video. Where do I even start? So, I'm 32 and have this condition, but I can't remember the technical name for it. Basically, my reproductive parts are all there, but they just don't work. My uterus doesn't build up a lining, so getting pregnant isn't in the cards for me. The silver lining? Never had a period in my life. Anyway, my boyfriend's mom found out somehow, probably overheard another family member talking, and she flipped the script. She told him he shouldn't marry me because, in her eyes, I'm defective since I can't have kids. Yeah, right? My boyfriend and I talked about it, and while it's a bit of a bummer, we're okay with it. But his mom's now telling everyone not to come to our wedding because she doesn't want him marrying someone who can't give him the family she thinks he needs. Honestly, it'd be great if she came around, but I'm not holding my breath. I really don't want her ruining our big day, and my boyfriend is torn about whether to invite her. We're considering just having a simple civil ceremony with close friends and family and letting her know afterward. She doesn't even want to come over for dinner when we invite her. What a mess. I'm getting tired of her spreading the defective label. Funny thing is, his dad's totally cool with us, and most of his aunts and uncles are supportive too. We've talked about adopting in the future, but guess what? She's against that, too. Not blood enough for her. Thanks for letting me vent. Update 1. Today's been a roller coaster. Got a lovely text from my future father-in-law, saying he's disgusted by his wife's actions, and he thinks I'm a wonderful addition to the family. Then there was a text from my boyfriend's aunt, who said pretty much the same thing but added that my future mother-in-law made a snide remark about why I even have breasts. Ouch. I'm so anxious for tonight. My boyfriend doesn't want me there, thinking it'd just make things worse, so I'm planning a cozy night with pizza, TV, and my cat. No joke, my cat is my therapy right now. Update 2. So, yeah, the drama continues. My future mother-in-law has been trying hard to wreck our wedding by telling people not to come and calling me defective. My boyfriend and his dad were supposed to have a heart-to-heart with her, but she somehow got her way. Whatever went down, my boyfriend came home saying he now wants kids, and since I can't give him that, the wedding's off. I was like, is this really you talking or your mom? And then it turned into a shouting match. I packed a bag and crashed at my parents' place for the night. Called in sick to work the next day, just staring at the ceiling and wondering how things fell apart. We've known each other since we were kids, met when I was 9. Never been with anyone else, neither has he, as far as I know. We didn't rush to get married because we were happy just being together, until my dad got sick and wanted to walk me down the aisle before his health got worse. And now, here we are. I'm giving notice at work, moving back to Germany where I was born. My dad's German, mom's American, they met when she was working there. I've still got friends and family in Germany, and a friend's offered me a place to stay while I get my life sorted. No fairy tale ending here, folks. My soon-to-be ex's mom basically pushed me out of his life, and out of the country. I've thought about moving somewhere else in town or maybe even to a different part of the state, but being here just makes me feel lonely. There are way too many memories, and honestly, my support system, my friends and family, are mostly overseas. So that's where I'm heading. Over the years, I've been teased for all sorts of things, like my height or my accent when I first moved here. That accent's gone now, though, and I sound just like any other Midwestern girl. Still, some of the teasing stings. Usually, I just tell myself, hey, this is who I am, and if people don't like it, that's their problem. I'm sure in a few years, I'll feel the same about this current mess, but it's a bit too fresh right now. Thanks for listening to me vent and for all your support. Apologies if this seems all over the place, I'm crying and rambling, so it's hard to think straight. So, here's the latest. First, thanks to everyone for the supportive comments. Today, 2 strange things happened, one was super embarrassing, and the other was just plain odd. During lunch, I popped over to the grocery store to grab some stuff for my mom's dinner. And who do I bump into? My almost mother-in-law, whom I'll just call Barbie. We locked eyes for a second, and she just turned on her heels and sped out of there. Guess she didn't want to chat. The second thing involved my dad, who came with me to help pack up my stuff at the house. He's agreed to handle things when the house sells to make sure I get what I'm owed. While we were packing, he was just standing in the corner, giving my ex the ultimate "you hurt my daughter" you're lucky you're still breathing glare. And then, my ex decides it's a good time to ask for, well, one final romp, right in front of my dad. I kind of lost it. I grabbed the top of my sweater, yeah, you can guess what was under it, and told him, you're never gonna see these again, let alone touch or play with them. My ex went beet red and bolted, and my dad went from serious death stare to cracking up as soon as my ex left. He was like, I can't believe you just did that, and I was like, honestly, neither can I. Later, we had dinner at my parents' place, and halfway through, my mom asked something innocent about what Vanessa's, the friend I'm moving in with in Germany, husband does for work. And I just lost it, all the stress and emotions just came out in these big, ugly sobs. My dad ended up carrying me to bed, like he used to when I was 5, and here I am now, typing this on my laptop. I told him to reassure my mom that she said nothing wrong, I just needed to let it all out, and unfortunately, that was the moment. A coworker has kindly offered to adopt my cat, and my dad's going to keep my stuff, like tennis trophies and yearbooks, at his place. He thinks I might want them back someday, and maybe he's right. Thanks again, everyone, for the kind words and support. I'll keep you posted with any updates and answer any more questions if I can. Now for today's drama, I gave notice at work. During lunch, I got a dozen roses with a note saying I'm sorry. I recognized the handwriting immediately. I asked my coworker if she wanted them for her daughter, but she figured out why I got them and said she couldn't take them. So, into the trash they went. With all the gossip flying around the office lately, I decided to give my notice sooner rather than later and told my boss I'm leaving. I'll stick around to train someone new, with my last day set for Valentine's Day. Which is kind of ironic, right? After that, I'll spend a couple of weeks saying goodbye to everyone and visiting my favorite spots in town. Then, on February 29th, my parents and I will drive to Chicago, and I'll fly out to Munich on March 1st. My friend Vanessa lives there, so I'll crash at her place for a bit while I figure things out. My hometown is only about 2.5 hours away, so I'll decide soon enough where to settle down. It's a small town, but hey, it's home. So, there's this town with a population of around 40,000 people, not exactly sure on the exact count. But here's the cool part, there's an actual castle and even a big tin soldier museum there. I'm still figuring out if I should stay in Munich since it seems like there are more opportunities to explore, or if I should head off to another city in Germany, like Hamburg or Berlin. Oh, and I had to drop by the realtor's office, they're selling the house. Had to sign a bunch of papers to let my dad handle everything about selling it. The lady there was like, no problem, this is my jam with divorcing couples. And I was just thinking, wait, I was never even married. After all that, I came home, and we had dinner. My mom and I have this little tradition where she braids my hair. It's our special mom and daughter bonding time. We do it during big moments in life, like when I first found out about my condition, before the state tennis tournament, and when I was heading off to college. So, I think this counts as one of those big moments, right? Then my ex's best friend called me. He had heard about what's been going on and basically said it sucked, though he used some spicy language, and I'm keeping it PG here. He invited me over to hang out with his family before I take off. I actually get along better with his wife, but hey, I'll go. Seriously, I can't thank this community enough for being so supportive. Sorry if I go off topic sometimes, but my thoughts are all over the place. It's wild how just last week I was thinking about wedding plans, and now I'm planning on leaving the country and starting fresh. My mom also suggested we hit up the zoo in Chicago on my last day here. We went there when we first moved to America, so she thinks it would be a nice bookend to my 23 years here. It feels like just yesterday we moved into a new place, and a sweet neighbor came by with cookies while I was outside dealing with the movers and my dog. Crazy how times and people change. Here's a little update, but heads up, it's intense. So, my ex came over to my parents' place wanting to chat. I knew he had something on his mind, but it didn't go as he planned. We talked, and he said sorry, and I told him I was heading back to Germany soon. We got emotional and started hugging. But then, he got inappropriate, I didn't realize until he squeezed my butt. As soon as it clicked, I stepped back and slapped him. Hard. My hand is still stinging. He looked shocked, and I just pointed to the door and told him to get out, maybe with some extra colorful words. He left, and after hearing his car drive off, I just broke down in tears. My dad was outside, listening just in case I needed him. He came in and hugged me while I was a mess of laughter and tears. Then my phone rang, it was my ex's mom, Barbie. According to my dad, since he took the call, she threatened to call the cops on me for hitting her son. My dad told her it was self-defense, and that we had cameras to prove it. Total bluff on our part, But I haven't heard from the police, so who knows if she was serious. I do have to admit, I miss the physical side of that relationship. He was my first for a lot of things, my first date, first kiss, first everything. But honestly, none of that is worth what's happened. So, you wouldn't believe the mess I've been through. Seriously, the pain that guy and his mom put me through was enough to make me swear off guys forever. I shouldn't have let him hug me again, but we all have weak moments, right? Anyway, thanks for all the support and kind words. I honestly thought my last update was the final one, but here I am again because more drama unfolded. Hopefully, the next time you hear from me, I'll be in Germany, far away from this madness. But it's late now, and I need to hit the hay. Update 6, there were two main mysteries throughout this drama. First, why did Jack suddenly switch gears on me? And second, how did Barbie, his mom, find out about stuff that wasn't exactly public knowledge? I had my suspicions, and oh boy, were they confirmed yesterday. I was downtown on my lunch break, training a new girl who's taking over for me. She's super nice and seems pretty capable. I'd have loved to work with her if things were different. Anyway, I bumped into Steve, Jack's childhood friend. We go way back to when Jack was just a kid. Steve said he heard about our breakup and asked if it had something to do with my infertility. I was like, how the heck do you even know about that? Turns out, Steve heard the whole scoop from Jack himself. So, here's what Steve told me. Keep in mind, it's his version so might not be spot on. He and Jack were working on Steve's vintage car, a classic from the 60s, not that I know anything about cars. It's blue, that's all I got. Before this, Jack had proposed to me in such an offhand way, it was almost laughable. You know, like, hey, it looks like rain. Wanna get married? Then he asked his parents for this old family ring for a proper proposal. His mom was super excited, thinking there'd be a baby on the way just 'cause we decided to get hitched after 16 years together. She was like, "Are you pregnant?" And he blurted out all my personal medical stuff without even batting an eyelid. She flipped out, took the ring back, and slammed the door. After hearing this, I told Steve that, yeah, it definitely played a part in the breakup. He just shook his head and said it was a pity because we seemed like a great couple. After that, I went to have lunch, came home, and cried a river into my pillow before dinner. I kinda always thought he spilled the beans, but hearing it confirmed? Not cool. Now that I'm sharing the story here, it weirdly feels okay telling strangers about my situation. Thanks for all the encouragement, it really means a lot. Update 7, this is a two-parter, and let's kick off with the good stuff. I got out of America on March 1st and flew straight to Munich. Sat next to this elderly lady who was absolutely terrified of flying. She was heading to see her son and his family in Germany. Can't remember why he's there, but anyway, for the whole 10-hour flight, she clutched my arm like it was her lifeline. Every little bump or shake had her squeezing even tighter, and I ended up with a bruise. Thank goodness her nails didn't dig in. Once we got through customs, she finally reunited with her family. This was all just before the quarantine craziness kicked in, so no big hassle there. Since then, I've mostly been hanging at my friend's place, helping her kids with English and stuff, thanks to all this quarantine fun. So, here's the deal, I was just chilling at home with not much going on. I had 3 job interviews lined up before I got here, but they all got cancelled. Now, my uncle from Kbach is offering to drive 3 hours down to pick me up and take me back with him. I'm still mulling it over. On the downside, things have been rough for my ex, Jack. Usually, when my family and I would head back to Germany, we'd fly out of Cedar Rapids to Chicago or Minneapolis, then onwards. Apparently, Jack thought we'd be flying that same route, drove all the way to Cedar Rapids Airport, only to find out we had actually driven to Chicago and flew directly from there. When I didn't show up at the airport, he must have figured he got the details wrong and just went home. He's been sending letters to my place, and I had my mom read one to me over the phone, but I stopped her pretty quickly because it went into stuff I really didn't want to hear, especially from her. Things took a nosedive for Jack. He lost his job, not because of the quarantine, and ended up in jail. I haven't got the full scoop, but it seems one night he got into a big fight with his mom, and it escalated to the point where his dad had to step in. The cops were called, thanks to a neighbor, and he got arrested. I never thought Jack would end up like this, especially with his own mom. If he'd fought this hard for our relationship, maybe things would have turned out differently. Anyway, as of now, I'm just hanging out, not doing much, but hey, at least I'm not behind bars. Sorry if there are any typos, I lent my laptop to a friend's kid, and it hasn't been working right since. He's a good kid, so I believe him when he says it was an accident. Oh, and a recent update, I spoke to Jack yesterday. When I last checked, he was in jail for fighting with his mom. He's out now, though I don't know if it's bail or what, and he's been hanging around my parents' front yard, just sitting there. My dad wanted to go out and deal with him, but my mom, being the calm one, went out and told him I wasn't around and that he should try to move on. She told me this, and I decided to give him a call. Our conversation went something like this. Me: hello, I heard you're hanging around my parents' place. I'm not there, so please leave them alone. Jack: I was hoping what I heard was wrong and that you were still here so we could talk. Me: I tried talking before, but you just wanted to act like everything would be fine with a little romance. I'm done with that. Jack: I'm sorry, I've never been through a breakup before and didn't know how to handle it. Me: neither have I, but I think I'm managing a bit better. I just need to know why things turned out this way. Jack: my mom wasn't happy when she found out you couldn't have kids, and I've always done what she says. Me: you're 32, you don't have to follow her orders anymore. Jack: you just don't get it. Me: I do get it. We talked about this before and came up with solutions, but clearly, they weren't enough for her, so you tossed aside everything we had. I guess that's how little it meant. Jack: you didn't have to leave. When are you coming back? Me: not for a few years. I need to sort things out once this pandemic is over, find a job, and get my own place. Jack: please come back. Me: sorry, but you've made your choice, your mom or me. I hope you two are happy together. He was crying the whole time, and I was trying hard not to break down too. Jack: please come back. We can get married, adopt, or whatever it takes. I'm sorry. We can work this out. Me: there were always options, but you dismissed them along with me. Plus, your mom's been calling me defective and won't accept adopting, so how's that going to change? Jack: you're not defective. I'm sorry about what she thinks. Me: no, but you agree with her. You've known my situation since we were 16, and now it's a problem. And that's about where the conversation ended. It's just a mess right now. Hey, just catching you up on my crazy life lately. So, if you haven't heard, I ended up in jail for standing up for you. Yeah, it was nuts. If you'd been there for me from the start, who knows, I might still be chillin' in a cell. When I reminded him of this, I guess it broke him because he kept muttering sorry over and over before hanging up. I was just lying on the bed, tears quietly rolling down my cheeks until Victoria, my friend's oldest, gently knocked to call me for dinner. Oh, and sorry for the weird formatting, I'm still figuring out this whole Reddit thing. I hope I didn't sound like a jerk, but when someone throws away a childhood friendship, I think a little anger is allowed, right? I hope you're all staying safe with this pandemic mess, and fingers crossed I can get my life back on track here in Germany once it's all over. Update 9. So, I finally moved out of Vanessa's place this weekend. Her family was a godsend for taking me in, but we made these plans before the virus hit. I imagined I'd have my own spot and a job by now. My uncle offered to come get me, and I felt better about taking him up on it than staying here, so he picked me up on Saturday. We stayed with some of his friends, then drove back to Cock on Sunday. I'm crashing with him and his wife, typing this before bed. It feels weird being back here where I was born and spent my early years. Even on past visits, it didn't feel so strange. Maybe it's the town's deserted vibe or just everything I'm going through. I don't know, something just doesn't feel right. Anyway, here's the real scoop. So, Jack, my ex, called me Friday night. I still have my old phone and number from Iowa, so his ringtone caught me off guard. I answered with a snappy "What you want?" Not my proudest moment. I quickly apologized, and he said he just wanted to check in. We chatted pleasantly until I heard some screeching and someone yelling, "Is that her?" Jack said, "I'm talking, leave me alone," but then his mom, Barbie, grabbed the phone and said, "Leave my son alone. Haven't you done enough damage?" I hung up because I wasn't about to deal with her rant. She snagged his phone a few more times, but I ignored her calls. Later, I found her voicemails blaming me for wrecking Jack's life. It was wild. She ranted about him losing his job, which was inevitable since his boss retired and sold the company, and losing his house, which we sold post-breakup. I heard he got busted for drinking in public at the park. Plus, she claimed he'd hit her, and honestly, I secretly hoped he'd at least gotten a good swing in before his dad stepped in. Then she dropped her favorite insult, calling me defective, saying she'd have found her son a nice normal girl if she'd known what I was like. As if that wasn't enough, she said Jack mentioned thinking about suicide lately, saying life feels pointless. I tried calling back, but she just picked up and screamed at me, so I wrote him a letter. I mailed it to my parents to pass to him, figuring Barbie would snatch it otherwise. I told him I still care and want him to be happy, but it's really over between us. So, here I am, 5,000 miles away, with the world on pause, staying with my aunt and uncle, just waiting for the chance to rebuild my life. Thanks for hanging in there with my long story, and sorry if the format's a mess. Time to put the laptop away and get some sleep. Night.